they turn on their Zoom cameras. The host is business, casual, professional, cold smile. Tilly looks a bit run down, not necessarily tired, but like recent days have been hard going. Cassandra has a distinctive makeup, flourishes around the eyes. Her focus is a bit menacing, or is it intriguing? Host to the audience.
I'd like to welcome everyone, even if this isn't what you choose to be doing right now. I still think it's an appropriate word in any case when the sentiment is genuine, and I assure you it is so welcome. And I'm not sure if congratulations are in order exactly, but good on you for answering your summons and being here today. The new measures certainly are quite a deterrent against what was an all too common practice, viewing that summons on your screen and simply, and without hesitation, delete. It didn't take a genius to arrive at the conclusion that we simply needed to switch what and who could be deleted. Before we introduce our pledges, does anyone want to heap any general shame in their direction? Yes, you, sir. Go ahead. Yes, that's fine. Now, our pledges are going to introduce themselves and begin. Please use the reaction buttons at the bottom of your screen to use your judgment. I can't technically instruct you on what sort of judge you ought to be, but let's remember that this is more than a rite or ceremony, more than some obligatory exercise. This is fundamental, essential to the nature of a viable society. Introduce yourselves.
I'll go, I guess. My name is Tilly. I grew up about 100 miles...
Begin with your greatest shame.
Okay. My greatest shame is something I did when I was 10. See, me and my mom, we didn't have much growing up.
Strike. That's an immediate deduction, Tilly.
For what?
For couching your shame in a poverty defense before even naming the nature of your shame.
Which will obviously include a sad attempt to conceal his poverty in a world that shames the poor. Shouldn't he receive a second deduction for choosing a childhood shame?
The new measures have surprisingly grown slightly more lenient on that point.
I've been deducted in the past for it. I don't see why that should change. Childhood shame is a dodge. Everyone knows that, which is why everyone uses it. Who could be really blamed for things they did when...
Personally, I agree with you, but I'm a humble host whose role is not to create the measures, but to facilitate them.
She's just trying to get on your good side, so she doesn't get a deduction when it's her turn.
A dodge is a dodge.
If you're going to work the rest, you might want to learn something. It's called subtlety.
Keep digging your hole, Timmy.
It's Tilly.
Even worse.
What's your name?
Cassandra.
That's a pretty cool name.
He's just stalling.
Indeed. Begin again, without disclaimers or justifications.
I bet he can't do it. He's the type who's got an excuse for everything. Look at his face. It's practicing the "it wasn't my fault" look. He's doing it now. Look.
Cassandra, the new measures prohibit insults based on appearance.
I didn't call him ugly. I made a comment on his preparation to deceive us.
Excellent distinction, Cassandra. I've noted it in the record.
Just wait until it's your turn.
So scared.
You should be, because I'm pretty observant myself.
Tell your little story.
I was at a birthday party. The kid had a really nice house, like really nice, pool. It was hard to say how many bathrooms with that kind of place.
2 problems.
Let me tell it.
The kid. Does this kid have a name? What's your relationship to this person who has no definite identity? And 2, are we supposed to just not notice that you're justifying whatever pathetic action your 10-year-old self is about to take? Poor little Timmy.
Tilly.
Poor kid in a rich kid's house. What's going to happen? He's going to strike back at the unfairness and arbitrary nature of who's rich and who's poor and pass it off to his greatest shame when truly it's a desperate plea to be seen as some kind of a class hero.
Tilly, is this the thrust of your story?
No.
No.
I said no.
Oh, then please continue. In fact, I'll take a self-imposed deduction if that's not the case. But if I'm right, you get the deduction.
Now it's ruined.
Not unless it's some self-serving crap that begs us to feel sorry for you. All we have so far is a setting and an unnamed kid. It's still wide open, Tilly.
So this kid was named Rob. I mean, he's still alive. His name is Rob. And about 10 people were there, swimming and eating pizza and whatnot. And I had to go to the bathroom. I know some people think it's fine if you just pee in the pool, but I'm not one of them. I never was.
Are you even going to call that?
Let me do my job, Cassandra. You're about to lose your point of distinction.
He's artlessly slipping in virtue signals.
I trust in the intelligence and discernment of our judges.
I just want it noted.
Proceed, Tilly.
So I'm inside getting ready to pee, which is a weird feeling, because the pool water is dripping down your whole body and you can't be sure it's not pee. I mean, you know it's not, but still, it's just weird. So when I'm wet, what I like to do is just take everything off and pee completely naked for some reason. It just makes it less ambiguous.
Hello, I know what you're doing.
Providing context?
It's a classic i.e. cliche, superfluous ingratiation.
I don't know what she's talking about.
Proving detail that is completely unrelated to the shame but just happens to suggest a humble nature.
What if it is related?
Okay, so your story would have to be that someone walks in on you naked and wet while peeing. That's barely embarrassing, much less shameful.
That's not my story, Cassandra.
Then defend how the detail that you valued, an unsullied swimming experience for your fellow partygoers, connects to your shame.
I can't, okay?
I'm afraid that's a deduction, Tilly. Continue.
Great. So I get done peeing and I get a glimpse of Rob's room. I mean, I put my swim trunks back on first. I didn't go in there naked. I went into his room. I'd never been to his house before. We were kids of a newish friends. And his wall is lined with sneakers. He's got like special shelving for them all. None of them look like they've been worn.
Stop. Is there a point in finishing? Let me. Little Tilly gives a special home to neglected sneakers, but he feels shame for stealing them from his barely friend Rob.
I mean, stealing is terrible. It's illegal. It's like part of the lore of bad morals in all the mythology and religion and whatnot.
And let me say, moreover, that what little Tilly has truly done is to recognize the essential nature of sneakers, which is that they are meant for activity for children's feet, not an ostentatious display of wealth. So what's your shame again, class hero?
The shame, Cassandra, is that I forgot that one of the kids at the party went to my school. The rest of the kids there were from our community service group.
Naked virtue signal, bald bear.
It's true.
And look at him now, a great bearer of truth, the highest virtue.
Let me finish. So I take a pair off the top shelf, and I kind of rearrange the sneakers, you know, the spacing and whatnot. So you can barely tell a pair is missing, and I put them in my duffel bag with my dry clothes and my inhaler.
So desperate.
The next day I go to school, and like I said, growing up.
Once exercise restraint, just once.
I don't care. It's part of my story. We didn't have much, okay? The electric was already getting turned off. My mom used to wait at the back door of the hometown buffet for stuff they were throwing out. So it felt good to be wearing Rob's sneakers, which fit me perfectly. And they cost about $300 or some such crap. My shoes were hand-me-downs from my sister.
We'll count that as one deduction. Surely you see how egregious that was, Tilly.
Thank you.
It doesn't change the fact that when I went to school, this little prick named Jason.
Deduction. Tilly, everyone knows a prick named Jason. Protect that universal appeal in the name of augmenting the shame in the judge's perception has you at 4 deductions. If you receive one more, it will be a technical failure, and you won't even be able to receive it. You'll go back into rotation, and you'll lose half your credits, with the added danger of being selected as a biohazard test subject.
I don't care. Jason said, "Oh my God, look everyone, Tilly has some new shoes. Where'd you get those, Tilly? Those are the new Hawkeye 5000s, right? Retail for about $300. And I was like, I got them for my birthday. And he was like, I think you mean Rob's birthday? And I just crumbled to the floor like the air came out of me. I didn't cry, but I had the throbbing pain in my eye just before you cry. And the cry is like the release of that. But I just kept throbbing.
I feel vindicated.
Because Tilly went right up to, but did not eclipse the maximum 5 deductions, I'll accept scores from all of you. Please rate the validity of his shame. I being least valid shame, 1 being least valid shame, 10 being most valid shame.
Score comes in from the audience.
Your collective score is A. You have passed and will be removed from rotation, retain your credits, and not be subjected to biohazard testing. Or B. You have failed to stay in rotation, half your credits taken, and will be immediately authorized as a biohazard test subject.
You were a great help.
Both pledges never pass.
Is that true?
There is technically nothing to prevent both pledges from passing.
What about the other way? How often do both fail?
Often.
Looks like I'm up.
Begin with your greatest shame.
I'm Cassandra. My greatest shame is what just transpired. My actions regarding Artilly here.
Wait, you were supposed to come in here prepared with something?
Who says I wasn't?
But,
I had a great shame prepared, but now I have an even greater one. It's not every day you meet someone as lost and as insecure, as unable to be forthright about deep shame. It's kind of a marvel to think about how at this point in human history, with this much shame to go around for all of us, he has the level of oblivion to choose something so trivial, so easily dismissed and repaired. That is the hallmark trait of someone living with delusions, not as a bug, but as a feature. And to think that I felt the need to spike the volleyball in his face over and over again, when obviously all I needed to do was step back and let him do the work. I mean, no one ever had to hand him a shovel. He came with a brand new shiny shovel and just went to town.
how in the world could this be a valid shame? You don't even know me.
But I do, Tilly. I was born with the gift of sight.
Isn't that some kind of deduction?
Do I have to explain to him?
So Cassandra is sharing a gift she was given. It took no doing of her own, therefore it does not ingratiate her to our judges. If anything, her revelation will make them feel envy or slight irritation and the mere utterance of being granted a gift.
This sucks.
What have I done with my gift? Have I used it to make a better world? A more just world? A safer world? A world with greater access to vitality, love, and purpose? No. As you can see, I use my gift to position myself as a posture, as long as I can be clearly distinguished from the blundering blind like Tilly, like many of you, I'm sure, then I've satisfied a voice that lives inside of me.
Wait, deduction, right? She's blaming the voice as if it's some...
And who does that voice belong to? That voice is my shame. That shame is mine to own, to live in, to bathe in. And it satisfies me. I create shame, walls around me, so that I know I will have a home, so that I know I will not be left alone somewhere frightened, having to survive, or worse, live on my real contributions to the real world.
This has nothing to do with me anymore.
It does and it doesn't, Tilly. It's so much more than you can even comprehend.
I know bullshit when I see it.
You just think you do.
How many times have you had to do this?
Irrelevant.
I can ask that, can I?
It's permissible.
19? This is my second time. How does she get out of biohazard testing and getting her credits revoked?
There are different consequences for different societal stations.
I see what's going on here. She's already shared all of her shares, and she's never passed. She's trying to pawn it off on me and say all the right things to sound like she has humility or something, or what do you call it? Self-awareness, that's right. Volleyball. Spike!
You're at your most tragic when you think you understand something. It's moving in a way.
I'm not falling for that. I know I'm right.
Tilly's illustrating my shame in front of our eyes. Here he is, a simp well enough intentioned. And do I help him? Do I focus my attention? Do I activate generosity, pity, compassion? No. In fact, I can barely summon the restraint now to keep from sharing my first impression of him. And really, why bother restraining? It just adds to my shame.
I hope none of you are buying this.
When we all appeared here together, and I saw my other half, I saw him a mosaic of clumsy evasions, a kind of prison of slow-witted solipsism, as if no one could ever conceive of his sluggish reasoning. And there's something almost beautiful about the depth of his naivete, like visiting a museum and looking in the doings of early humans, the fear in their eyes, a saber-toothed cat always lurking. In reality, we are all open books.
Your judgment has been rendered, Tilly, for better or worse.
Yeah, well, good luck, Cassandra.
It's funny that you think luck is involved,
If it's funny, then why aren't you laughing?
because sometimes funny things are sad too.
Yeah, I guess they are.
Like you and me.